How's it going, people? Welcome back to AFTV News. There's a bit to get through tonight. Hope everyone is all good and well. We didn't play on the weekend. There's a result there that I want to discuss later on in this news segment. I'm with Robbie. What are you saying, Rob? All good?
I'm good. You know what? Right. There's a comment that was on here immediately that made me laugh. Right. It's from Joe Vassell. And he's put, I knew Turkish would be on this before this got titled.
You know what to expect from me, people. You know what to expect from me. It had to be done. Any nonsense from the Cronkays, I'm onto them. We can't let them rest. I'm telling you, things might be looking decent this season, but we can't let them rest. Otherwise, these are the things that are going to continue happening.
Made me laugh, that did.
So yeah, the main news, obviously, with the joke involved, Arsenal announced first ticket price rise for 8 years.
Yeah, I was surprised by that. I was surprised it was 8 years.
Well, when you set the bar so high, you can rest for 8 years because you're already taking the piss out of us.
He's in it already. He's on it already. But no, seriously, I was surprised when we were discussing it earlier, and I was like, oh yeah, the tickets have got. When was the last time we had a ticket price rise? And you said 8 years. I was shocked. I actually thought we'd had a few in between, but I know we have had freezes, you know, on ticket prices over the past few years, but...
Wait, 8 years, and this is not me. Let me know in the chat. Was it 8 years ago we signed Mesut Ozil, 2014? If it was,
I think it was.
That makes sense why that price increase came then. They bought Ozil and thought, yeah, let's quickly just bump them and then lap it up. Because remember how much hype there was around Ozil? We was all gassed, so we didn't really care too much about a ticket increase. But the following 8 years after that, we've cared a lot.
Yeah. Listen, I guess you could say, like we've just said, they haven't raised up the prices for 8 years. So it was going to have to go up sometime. Gone up 4%. It's just that, the you know, when you think about it, so many different things are going up at the moment. You know, with inflation rising in this country, all household prices are raising up, so it comes at a particularly bad time, you know what I mean, because there's so much price rises at the moment. But I didn't realise it had been so long since there'd been a rise.
You know what my thing is, Rob? You mentioned inflation and you mentioned the way the world is recovering from COVID. Businesses included, Arsenal included, Cronkays included, all of that. But at a time when it seemed like the fans are so much more connected to the club than we have been in recent years, it just seems like they're trying a fast one again. I can't get my head around it.
Isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's definitely
the time to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, the mood is good, right? You know, you're not going to have as much as a backlash. You know, if you put the prices up by 4%, you know, and things are going badly, or say you wait until the end of the season and we don't get the top four or something like that, it will go down even worse, won't it?
Yeah.
Whereas today, the way it's kind of gone down with most fans has been kind of like, well, you know, it's gone up, but there's not this real outcry about it.
And on the website, Rob, if you see the little graph they did, they include Champions League qualification too. So they're showing us, if we make Champions League, this is how much it'll cost, which can kind of, you know, get the fans going as well, because it's like, Champions League.
No, it's a very smart bit of PR by Arsenal, and very smart bit of timing to do it when they have done it. But it is a price rise of 4%. I mean, obviously I know how you feel about it, so I'll try and play a bit of devil's advocate on it. In that, you know, the COVID crisis really that has hit not just Arsenal, but every single club across the world of football, you know, and there's been massive losses. I saw a rumour that Arsenal could have up to 500 million.
Yeah, but
they were saying, you know,
that's
what I mean?
our debt. Yeah.
Yeah. But there's been losses for absolutely every football club. You know what I mean? We had a season behind closed doors. Clubs lost huge amounts of money. There was always going to be a rise for every club. There's always going to have to be a rise to try and deal with those amount of losses that have been suffered because of the pandemic. So I'm not surprised by this rise, and the fact that they have frozen it for a very long time, you know, you can factor that in as well. But like you said, we were already paying these astronomical season ticket prices, and then you got to factor in all the other things. You got to factor in the things like, over previous years when we bought our season ticket, that's included the Champions League, that's included the FA Cup. That's why sometimes even the ticket price is a little bit skewed, yeah, because you'd always hear a lot of fans say we've got the highest ticket season ticket prices in the world. But you do have to remember over the years that's been included. So they've included the FA Cup games. Is it 5 of them? They've been 4 of them.
What was it? It's the six European group stage cup ties, and I think 3 or 4 domestic.
But this season, of course, there is no Europe. None, not even Europa League. There is no Europe, and there's no FA Cup. So again, if you even think of it, if you even sort of look on it from, it's not just the revenue you lose off of the fact that those games are not happening with the actual ticket prices, but think of the revenue, match day revenue. You know what I mean? All the corporate boxes, all the food that would have been sold. I know that they sell out a lot of sort of franchises, but all the things the extras that come with a match day, Arsenal have lost out on all of those things.
They have. But if I ask you, Rob, whose fault is it Arsenal are not in Europe? It's not the fans' fault.
It's not the fans' fault.
And it's not COVID's fault we're not in Europe either. So it's all good and well for them to say COVID's done this and this has happened.
But even with COVID, we've been in big financial trouble because of COVID. Because we spent a season with no games.
Yeah, well, every club did.
Every club, and I think every club's going to have to end up putting their prices up.
That would be interesting to see.
I've not, obviously I don't really focus on other clubs, but I'm sure a lot of clubs are going to be in the same sort of predicament.
But also, look, what is it, 4%, and someone online, I think, I forgot who it was, but someone's done the calculations. It works out to a roughly 4 million extra revenue for the club a year. And they mentioned in their statement about it saying, they need to increase their revenue streams, match day included. But I look at that 4 mil and I say, is it worth what you're making the fans feel like now? An extra 4 mil when we've seen you keep hold of players that you could have got 10 mil for. Yeah,
That's
and you're
true.
allowing them to run down their contracts, but you're
shout.
asking the fans to pay an extra, 4% each might. Look, I've got fans saying to me, it's only 4%, like calm down, this and that. If you're an Arsenal fan, don't be telling another Arsenal fan it's only 4%. Why don't you look at the club and say, it's 4%. What are you actually doing? Like I said, it's at a time now when we're more connected to the club than we have been in the last 3, 4, 5 years. And it just seems like it's another fast one. It's all good and well not raising your prices for 8 years, but Rob, in the last 8 years, when could they have possibly raised their prices without this fan base flipping? This is the one moment probably in the last, since we finished second, let's say, to Leicester, that they've had the chance to, slip something under the radar while the fans are looking forward to the end of the season. When's the last time we looked forward to the end of the season, Rob? This is one of the first seasons in a while.
Yeah, and and you say looking forward to. I mean, we're looking forward to, because we're in a bit of a top 4 race, but we should have been looking forward to more. Should have been looking forward to a European run. Should have been looking forward to a FA Cup run. So, comments are coming in. This one here says, Ammo says, Robbie's legal defence statement for the Cronkies in full flow. I'm not trying to defend them. I was just trying to add a bit of balance to the argument, Jack Catton says, massive losses, yes, but aren't we paying the most for season tickets than anywhere else, which doesn't make sense when we are where we are right now. Peace and Love says, City have won more than us recently, yet their prices are 2 times cheaper. I think you'd have to factor in that clubs like the clubs in Manchester, the clubs in up in Liverpool, they're cheaper because one of the arguments why they're cheaper is that it's a cheaper place.
London tax.
Yeah, there's a massive London tax, right? And if you buy a house in Manchester, even though they've gone up a lot. With BBC moving here and stuff like that, but a house in Manchester compared to a house in London, it's like way, way cheaper. A house in Liverpool compared to a house in London is probably half the price. So hence the reason why sometimes the ticket prices are higher here. But this guy here, Sofilaz, says, even Real Madrid, PSG and City have lower ticket prices than Arsenal. And Ash says, I'm actually... He says, I'm actually, this is, I'm going to throw this one to you, Turkish. He says, I'm actually excited about this price hike. It just means that they'll have to buy some great players in the summer to back it up.
That's what listen, my bro, Ash.
Well, I've heard that before.
We've been paying the highest prices for 8 years. And we haven't competed with the best teams or the best players in all that time and before.
Yeah.
So
Actually, I wouldn't hold out for that, mate.
Yeah. Listen, you're holding out on a whim there, because I don't think it's...
Robbie World says, fans complain, but we'll still be back next game and don't protest against the owners. And DMYG says it's Kroenke tax.
Some truth in both. Well, there's a lot of truth in the Kroenke tax, and there's a lot of truth in the comment before. You know, one thing about Arsenal fans is we haven't really managed to get together, unite, and really, face off against the ownership and the problems that the club has had. Yeah, the Super League one was great and it was massive in numbers, but aside from that, and if you take out the Super League debacle from it, we haven't really, put pressure on this ownership. So, someone that mentioned Man City and United's ticket prices in comparison to ours, I think, Arsenal fans have been so loyal, we've been so patient, we've trusted people along the way, and we've been heavily let down. It's very, very difficult to just stop doing what you've grown up doing. I've been going games 20 plus years. This is the first season in a long time that I've only been to one home game, and that's the Tottenham one. It's not easy. Like when I watched that Wolves game the other night and the last minute, winner, I was like, I wish I was there. First time I felt like that all season, but I wish I was. It's not easy to just give it up, because it's not, to get it back, you're on a waiting list for 15 years or so. So it's difficult.
Well, that's another reason why they're able to have such high prices as well. Despite what anyone says about Arsenal, right? We're still got one of the biggest fan bases in the world. And if you give up your season ticket, you could wait another 10 years plus to get another one, or to get another one in a decent price bracket. You might be able to get a club class ticket, but those are even more money, like $4,000. So it is a lot of money to go and watch Arsenal. It is a very expensive ticket, I have to say. It's not cheap.
And one thing that sticks out to me, and it's like, people have heard me say it before, but when they asked Wenger about ticket prices after Klopp backed their fans about that whole £70 away ticket, and the whole league changed their ways following that. When they asked Wenger about our ticket prices, and he said, the Arsenal fans pay that ticket price because of the football on show, that's when I knew Wenger really chose the other side. Because how can you look me in my face and say you're paying the highest ticket prices because of the football you're watching, whilst we're struggling to get top four, or we're creeping into top four every season? It was a slap in the face. Like I feel this one is. It's not major. Yeah, people have done calculations. It's £4 more a game, or it's £50 more a season ticket. All right, it might not be much, but why is the club asking for it then?
RSB Gaming says the results and performances on and off the pitch. Nearly lost that. On and off the pitch, these last few games do not justify this. Liverpool or City, I could understand more, but this is disgusting from the Kroenkes. And Benny says, be mad at KSE all you want. Be mad at KSE all you want, but you need to be upset at governments of the world for allowing inflation to get as bad as it is. And we're feeling it here in the US too, which helps lead to ticket price rises. And that's what I'm trying to say, Turkish, that let's remember that at the moment, it's not just football tickets that are going up, is that the energy prices are going up. Now we've got all this mess going up in Ukraine as well. That's pushing the price of petrol up. I mean, everything's going up at the moment.
Yeah.
So I guess it's the same for a football club. If you think of it, a football club got to pay their light bill as well. They've got to pay for electricity as well. So their electricity is going to go up. The price of gas and oil has gone up. So, transporting things to and from the ground and all that, that's all gone up. The cost of food has gone up. The cost of alcohol has gone. Everything's gone up because of the general rises in inflation. So we are bound to feel it. Do we not look on it like that and say we're bound to feel it a bit? Then you add into it the whole COVID stuff and the fact that we've been, it was
he's right.
Inevitable.
He's right. It's we all saw it coming. When all the grants and the loans were being given out during COVID and the world was at a standstill, UK was at a standstill. We knew somewhere down the line taxes will increase, national insurance, whatever it is will increase. Yeah, whether you're in the UK, US, or wherever. That was the long-term play of it all. I look at it and I look at Arsenal in isolation, yeah, and I say, okay, COVID came and it hasn't gone yet, but let's say came and went, and you're talking to us about how much of an impact this had and how a rougher situation it's been. That's fine, yeah, but that situation has been mirrored at every club, across every league, across every country. It's a situation every club has had to deal with. But I can't let Arsenal use it as an excuse, because one thing I will say, Rob, is we dropped out of Europe before COVID. Now, if the ownership had run this club in the way it should be run, then we would have still been in Europe going through COVID. And I'm not saying that will absorb from all debt and losses, because of course you're going to hold losses, but you'd still be in the main European competition. Your wage structure wouldn't have been as thin as it was because you're out of Europe. And, you know, selling and recruiting players would have been hopefully a lot more efficient. COVID didn't do that to Arsenal. Kroenke's ownership done that to Arsenal. Now they're using COVID as, listen, everyone's made losses. Yes, everyone's made losses, but COVID is not the reason why we're at Arsenal are in this situation now. Not solely, anyway.
Just thought of one other thing as well, Turkish, is that remember during COVID, they asked all the players to take a pay cut.
Yep.
That led to a big argument with Mesut Ozil. Remember, he didn't want to take the pay cut. But one of the things they said for the pay cut was for these sort of things, for the running of the club and the day-to-day runnings and stuff like that. So,
and how many other clubs asked their players to take pay cuts?
Hardly any other clubs did do that. But as I said, there is, you know, as I say, I'm not trying to defend the price rise or anything. I'm just trying to be real here and look at it objectively. That, you know, everything's gone up. You get your household bills, you know, in the next few weeks. Your gas, your electricity, your water rate, everything has gone up. You know what I mean? You know, to go on the tube in London is going up. The buses are going up. The trains, everything.
Whilst we signed Willian and gave him 200k for 3 years, whilst we didn't allow Eddie Nketiah and Maitland-Niles to leave the club. If Kroenke was right in front of me now saying, listen, we need that 4 mil, because of this, I'll turn to him and say, well, why didn't you get that 4 mil out of Eddie Nketiah last summer or Maitland-Niles the summer before? Why are these players now running down their contracts? That's on you, my guy, not me, not you, not the Arsenal fan base. That's on you. So throughout COVID, Arsenal have done, look at Oba. We paid Oba to go. Was it 7 mil or 5 mil, let's say?
Banging in
so
the goals now
basically,
as well.
the fan base
scored another one at the weekend.
The fan base paid for him to go, because if we gave roughly 5 mil for Oba to go Barca, and they're going to make 4 mil more off us next season, is that covering the Oba sale? Were we part of that then? I just can't have the excuses. And I've also got a quote from the Arsenal Supporters Trust on the price rise. It says, the AST believes that the 4% ticket price increase is unjustified at a time Arsenal's overall revenues are increasing. Arsenal first said they were planning on increasing ticket prices during meetings of the Arsenal Advisory Board and Fans Forum during February. The price increase was put forward as a decision that was being made. An increase is exactly the sort of issue these forums should be given more time to consider. So it was pretty much, it seemed that it was put to the forum of the big forum that was made off the back of Super League that was going to involve more fans. But instead, they're asking fans what colour you want the walls painted at the Emirates and this and that. Ask us about a price rise and ticket increase, and ask us about the summer plans, and ask us about things that really matter, not what song should be played at half-time at Emirates. They tricked the whole situation with the advisory board and whatnot, because the first big...
Would you go on it?
What?
If you was asked?
Of course I would. Listen, if I could have a chance to speak to the ownership or speak to Vinay about what's happened at Arsenal Football Club in the last 10 years, I believe I could back them into the corner, because I believe no journalist asked the right questions. I don't believe any... Big up Akil. Akil last summer, after the back of Super League, there was a fans forum where he spoke out in the manner that I believe I'd speak out, and a lot of other fans would give him the chance. So big up Akil for that, because he put him on the back foot.
Yeah.
But essentially, I don't believe Akil's part of the advisory board.
You know, this is one of these things though, right? I really do feel, and Arsenal and a lot of companies fail with this, but in particular, football clubs. Sometimes a bit of transparency, you know. Now, all right, they put the graph up and stuff like that on the website, but I do feel that sometimes if somebody comes out, like at one of these forums, and sits down with those fans and says, guys, sorry, prices have to go up, and this is the reason why. The gas, the electricity, we just can't, you know what I mean? We're just running at such a loss right now. We have to raise these things, and explains it. Not everybody's going to be in agreement. Maybe some people there still upset, but you've explained the reasons why those rises have to take place. At least we know we have information. Yeah, they've kind of made an attempt to do that, but I still think they could have done it better. And then at least you then understand, because, you know, we do know that we're living in a time, as I said, we're living in a time when a lot of prices are going up. I mean, this guy here, Benny, he said, just had my New York Rangers season tickets go up the same amount due to extremely high electric and utility prices. And they're challenging for the Stanley Cup. So, you know, but has it been explained well enough? That is the thing.
Yeah, and like I said, you know, every business, every sports club, we've all been affected by this. But how many of those have been paying the highest ticket prices whilst watching their team fall from Champions League to Europa League to no Europe, paying the highest ticket prices? It's a very different perspective to be looking at. You know, if we wasn't and we was in and around the same ballpark as the rest of the teams we should be in and around, and a 4% price rise came about, then I'd be more understanding of it. But you've taken the complete piss out of us for 10 years, 8 years, however long it's been. And now you're going to try and do it again off the back of very little. It's you know, we're in a good run of form. You know, top 4 is the light at the end of the tunnel this season. But it's like they thought, let's get this under the radar now before the end of the season comes, because they're not sure how it's going to end. And if they did the end,
it's a very smart bit of manoeuvring on PR. Bob Marley says it's a lot to when the club. It's a lot to the club when it's accumulated. Small to fans, a 4% increase in 7 years. Not close to inflation levels. Let's not always choose to be negative. So he's not got a problem. He's not got a problem with the ticket prices.
4% is 4 million. 4 million to Arsenal Football Club is nothing. I'll ask you why you didn't get 10 million for Eddie last year, and he's played 1 or 2 Premier League games all season. Why you didn't sell Maitland-Niles when you gave him barely a sniff for the first half of the season?
Well, he's gone out on loan now, hasn't he? So they've taken some of those wages.
Yeah, about time, because it was obvious to Maitland-Niles he wasn't needed. That's why he came out in the summer, you know, on the last day on Instagram saying, you know, free me. But it's the club. I can't let the club get away with how many things they've done wrong in the past 2 years. Listen, they've got a few things right in the past 2 years. Hence why we're sitting here now and we're saying top 4 is an attainable asset to get this season. But at the same time, like I said, Willian, like I said, in the summer we could have got rid of Eddie, Maitland-Niles. Chambers went for what, 1 or 2 mil in January. We could have got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mil in the summer. But now you're asking the fans who have paid the highest ticket prices while watching our club fall from the top tier Europe to no Europe. Now you're asking us to pay a bit more. It doesn't make sense.
Nico Neek says the ticket prices are not the reason for the loss of income. It's not winning major trophies or being in the Champions League. Invest in the right places and you'll get the right big rewards. And this next one here for Rabadab, it's got to be one of the comments of the day. Rabadab, you know, we're going to have to start doing that as a thing, a comment of the day, right? He says, Turkish speaking to the Cronkies face to face, we'd end up with him doing 3 to 5 mandatory.
No comment. No comment.
So maybe that's why they haven't called it. You haven't been invited to that forum.
Yeah,
Ozef says, just like Liverpool, bite the bullet for Fenway Group. Arsenal are eating it for KSE. Look, Kroenke lost a court case against the city of St. Louis, and guess how he will pay for it? Hint, it's not from the Rams.
I agree.
And Victor Lang says, I agree with Turkish. These Arsenal owners love to raise the prices during our winning streak. It's a disgrace where a lot of people are struggling. And he says, big up to Don Robbie. Thank you very much.
I got
Victor agreeing with you there.
No, and I agree with him. I got this one came out about 4:30 p.m. James Benj. If you don't know James Benj, he's like an insider of some sort.
Yeah.
He said Arsenal have published accounts through to May the 31st, 2021. The key headline is a loss of 107.3 million, 85 million of which the club attribute to COVID-19. Arsenal say significant funding has been provided by the ultimate parent company, KSE UK Incorporated. During the year, KSE UK provided funds to refinance the stadium, finance bonds, and for working capital purposes as required. A little bit of PR there for the Cronkies about the owners done this. Watch when we find out the owners also put that loan to pay off the original stadium debt back into the club. So now we owe Kroenke the money. But we don't know that yet. That's going to come out in the next couple of days too. Our debts increased from 350 mil to 500 million over the last year. Our losses have increased from, is it 80 to 130 mil? Something like that roughly, or is it 100 to 150 million? Basically, our losses and our debt have both increased in the past year.
It's COVID though has had an effect, Turkish.
It was so as going out of Europe 3 years ago.
Yeah, going out of Europe, but then that's it. I mean, they've got no. That's why they wanted to be in the Super League.
You know,
in the Super League, you don't have to worry about going out of Europe. You don't have to worry about being relegated. You don't have to worry. You're in the European That's why all of these owners, and particularly the American owners who are used to that sort of system over there in the States with their teams, they wanted that desperately.
Yeah,
it was a huge blow to them, when that was turned down by the fans and by the government here. And it's a setback for the Cronkies because I think they wanted that badly because they wouldn't need to worry about getting into Europe. Now getting into Europe, as they've seen over the last 3 years, is a real struggle to get into the Champions League. And it's going to get worse. It's going to get harder. Newcastle are now on the block, ready to see, they're buying players like Bruno Guimaraes when they're facing a relegation battle. What are they going to be able to do if they stay up? Which it looks like they are going to do. They're going to be the next big player on the block. So it's going to be harder and harder. Look how hard it is at the moment to get into the Champions League spot. Look how many teams are going for that. A powerhouse like Manchester United, a powerhouse like Arsenal. But you're under threat from West Ham, Wolves, Tottenham. It's difficult to get that spot. And then, there's teams like Leicester who've been having a bad season, but normally they'd be up there in with a shout. Newcastle are going to be in that mix. Everton, if they could get their act together, would be up there in the mix with their spending power. So this is why they wanted the Super League. They wanted that guarantee, but that guarantee's gone now. And I fear that, we'll see more rises again in the future.
These damn legacy fans.
Because there's such a dependence now of getting into the Champions League, and you can see it with us. Since we ain't been in it.
Yeah, the money's big. Look, the TV deals have just been renegotiated as well, coming in next year. Where it's spread out evenly, but there's a chunk of the TV deal that's given to placed finishes. So the first place team would get about 25, 30 million more than the second, and so on up to the bottom of the league. So that's important now as well. It's not all evenly spread. If you want to take advantage,
that's to keep the sort of smaller clubs happy. The bigger clubs happy, because now they're having to, they're fearful that in the future maybe the big clubs might try and come back again with another Super League type thing, or the Champions League might try and put together a kind of Super League in disguise. Those are the sort of things I fear with football going forward, because it is so money driven. Does there, I'm ask you this, Turkish, does there have to be in football a reality check amongst us as fans, right? Because we just want our club to go out there and just spend. When January was around, sometimes when I was doing Transfer Daily, the list of players that some of the fans were telling me about and expecting, you're talking about another 150, 200 million they wanted to spend on players in January. Now, the thing is, the reality of it is that money, you can't just keep spending unless you've got an owner like a Roman Abramovich who will finance it all and just say, you know what, I'm going to pay for it all. But the reality of it is that, if we're going to live sensibly at Arsenal, we are going to have to balance the books.
Right. How do we get to where we are now? That's our good old safe self-sustaining model that we were patient with. They told us we have to be sensible moving into the Emirates, and then we were patient, and then now we're in loss, we're in debt.
What do you think the model should be?
Honestly, that is the best way to run a football club. You need to be making profit, and you need to be, using your own resources. Obviously, when you're competing with teams that are backed by states like Man City, PSG, and so on, it's going to be very difficult. But let me take you back to, let's say, when Arsenal, Man United, were competing for the title when I was growing up and whatnot. Arsenal, some seasons, was some way off United. But that didn't lead to me saying, we need to go spend money, we need to do this. It didn't, because we had a team and players we could believe in. We had a manager that we believed in. Like when we won the league in 98, we didn't win the league for another 3 years. United won it for the next 3 years, but there was never discontent amongst the Arsenal fan base like there is today. Why? Because there were still players we were connected to. There was still a belief there that we can come back, and in turn we did, you know. It's not all about spending money, it's about giving your fans something to believe in. That's what they need to be doing, and part of that in football is spending money. That goes without saying. But part of it is also being shrewd with how you spend money, how you sell players too. You know, your project is important as well, but the project needs to, you know, have milestones. It needs to have progress. It needs to have all of these things in conjunction for fans to believe.
We've been an absolute mess. You know what, Turkish, and guys out there, I want you to check out an interview that I did with Sky Andrew, who's a football agent. He was the agent who brokered the deal for Sol Campbell to come to Arsenal all those years ago. And I did an interview with him. It's going to be coming out tomorrow. I really want you guys to...
Tomorrow morning.
Tomorrow morning. I really want you guys to check that out. And in that interview, he speaks about the fact that Arsenal, instead of us as fans, you know, charging out there and says, get him for 200 million, buy him for 100 million, he goes, Arsenal Football Club need to be smarter with their buys. He's even saying to me, he goes, it's almost as there needs to be a bit of an acceptance that sometimes we might buy a player that turns out to be an unbelievable player that we may need to sell. We may need to sell that player to then bring in the next crop of players after that. And he was sort of saying that he thinks that that needs to be the model. Now, a lot of fans ain't going to want to hear that. I mean, what if, and I'm just giving this as a doomsday scenario, right? But what if, not this summer, but what if next summer, Manchester City came in and had £150 million for Saka? Do we sell him? Do we look on it and sell him? I think what he was saying is, for Arsenal to operate in a sustainable way, to Arsenal to operate in a smart way, maybe you do need to sell that player, but have ready-made replacements that are going to come in, guys that you see as the next guys that are going to come in and become him. And you know, you look at certain clubs, they've done that well, innit? Look at Dortmund. How is it that Dortmund were able to go out there and get Jude Bellingham in under the noses of every club in this country? Right? Remember, he's English. He's playing for Birmingham City. They bought him for, what was it they bought him for? Was it 20?
20, 30, something
right?
like that.
Now he's probably going to be, you know, when they're ready to sell him, he's worth £100 million.
Yeah, easy.
Right? They got Haaland for...
I think that was about 20, was it 20 as well? 17, I think it was.
Yeah. What are they going to sell Haaland for? Well, there's a release clause about 70 million. They bought Ousmane Dembele for next to nothing.
Yeah.
Sold it for over 100 odd million pounds. And they keep repeating that, and they keep always bringing in good players. It's about your recruitment. Your recruitment has to be good. And that's how you can kind of compete. Add that with a few big ones.
Yep.
And that's how you can compete. But Arsenal over the years, over the last 10 years, our transfer dealings have been shocking. And that's what he speaks about in the interview. He speaks about how many players, like what you just said, Turkish, you said the same thing. How many players have walked away for nothing?
So many.
Or how many players have valued at nothing?
Yeah.
Nothing. These players that we spent loads of money on, Mustafi, 35 million, walked away for nothing.
Nothing.
Not £1.
There's a few of them as well.
Few of them. Callum Chambers was 20 million.
Yep.
Walked away for a few
Ozil
million.
was 42.5.
Yeah, at least with Ozil we got something out of him. We didn't get.
You mean on the pitch? Yeah, I get.
Yeah,
okay,
but you know, I think I'd say somebody like Callum Chambers, even though we didn't sign him for massive, did we get 20 million out of him? We didn't, did he? He was always just a bit part.
Yeah.
Hardly played. Then he's gone for next to nothing. It's almost like just moved him off.
Yeah.
And we've got to stop that. We've got to stop that because we're not going to go out there and do a Chelsea where we just, you know, you saw yesterday in the game, they've got Kepa coming on to save penalties. He cost nearly 70, the most expensive goalkeeper in the world, people, don't forget.
Yeah.
And he's on a bench, brought on to save a penalty, which he, by the way, he weren't very good at that. You know, so we can't do what Chelsea do. We can't do what Chelsea do. We've got to find a better way of doing our business.
100%, Rob. I look at Liverpool as the prime example of what you mentioned there. At the time when Sterling was being sold, I'm sure every Liverpool fan was vexed. When Coutinho was being sold, vexed. Suarez, I'm sure they felt like they were never going to win the league title again. But then Salah comes in, with Klopp, Mane, and so on. And now look at them. They don't give a toss about Suarez, Coutinho, or Sterling.
It's great shout. Shout.
They've made their own legends there. It's just about, Liverpool left it in good hands. I hope the Kroenkes have finally done that with Arteta and Edu. That's where the jury's still out. But that's why when we sign a Willian, I'm just, I'm tearing my hair out, because it's just like, I know this ain't gonna work, man.
That's madness, wasn't it?
But if you lot want to continue trying and failing before you realise, then...
Ozev says, last summer during the AFTV transfer hour, Turkish warned us of the Kroenkes. So many Arsenal fans called him negative. Enjoy a more negative bank balance, he says. And Bakuta says the same thing that you said. Liverpool sold Coutinho. And Touch of Awesome says, watch Pepe walk away for a free. Oh my God, he says.
That's why we mentioned it on the supporters club the other day. We talked about Pepe. I think this summer he's got 2 years left. It's a pivotal time. What do we do,
Yep, and again, that's another thing that Sky Andrews talks about in that interview, is that he's going, when you get to that stage, you have to be saying to a player, yo, listen, do you want to stay?
Yep.
When that player's like, I don't know, man, but he goes, do you sell?
Yeah, that's what you got to do.
And he goes, sometimes it's going to be, what he was saying is sometimes it's going to be unpopular. But he goes, that's the only way to be, like you said, when Coutinho went, if you're a Liverpool fan, you're fuming.
Yeah.
You're not fuming now, are you?
Yeah, and the proof's in the pudding. You mentioned, let's say Man City come for a 150 million bid for Man City in 2023. For Arsenal fans, the bias, the clouded judgment, the love, the hey lens stuff, you're going to say, nah, you don't want to sell him. But the reality is, if that was to happen, the next 2-3 years will determine whether that's a success. You'll look back on it and say, well, we needed to do that to get to where we are now. Like when we sold Van Persie to United, they won the league. That proved that transfer, what are you doing? Whereas when Liverpool sold Suarez, they went in, reinvested, Alisson and Van Dijk and so on, Coutinho got sold, and they won the league. And that proves that was a success. That transition was a success. Every transition we've done, selling players and whatnot, it's never been a success up until Alexis Sanchez to United, and we haven't finished top 4, top 6 since.
MA says Robbie is mentally prepared to lose Saka. Laugh out loud, small club mentality. Listen, I don't want to lose Saka. I would love Saka to stay at Arsenal for the rest of his career. Saka is a brilliant player. I love the fact that he's come through our academy. It's a great story. But I've always, and I think every football fan, well, every Arsenal fan right now, you've got to be a bit real. I don't think this summer, no chance. But come next summer, if he has another season like what he did this season, those teams are going to be circling.
Yeah.
And a decision has to be made. Now, it's either no, because we're building our team around Saka and we're bringing in other players, and I think, again, you've got to be in the Champions League to make sure you hold on to these guys. Whether he's come through the academy, Smith Rowe, these guys, they love Arsenal. I can tell you that's facts. They love Arsenal Football Club. Absolutely, those players. But every football player looks on it after a while and says, yeah, but my career as well.
Yeah.
What did I win a trophy? Did I play in the Champions League? All these things start to factor in. A professional footballer who's been playing football since he was 6 years old. So I'm always now, I've started to put this in my head now as a realist. Because there's no loyalty in football, let's be real.
No. You'd be foolish to think
right? Because, Aubameyang, whether you thought about Aubameyang, he still had couple of years to go in his contract and he's gone. They chopped him. He didn't want to go. They wanted him. He said, I didn't want to leave. They chopped him and he's gone. So there's no loyalty in it. So that's just, you know what? That's how I'm approaching football now. I'm being real. But I don't want Saka to go anywhere.
Of course not. But we also have to look at, listen, Fabregas, I was in pain when he left.
Yeah.
Wilshere, I was in pain when that didn't work out. So, I have to learn off the past. And what I've learned is, that I can't invest too much faith into the youth because you don't know how it's going to work out.
This is football. Players are going to leave. Bakuta says, should we sell Saka if he does not sign a new deal? I think he means there.
Again, it's such a.
I mean, he said, "Listen, stop panicking. Yeah, he's got a while left. But let's say, what's he got left now?
2 years in the summer.
2 years in the summer. That means really, come this summer,
We need to talk. We need to talk now.
Yeah, Arsenal need to talk to Saka. I don't want to frighten people here, but this is a reality of football. And again, watch that interview with the agent Sky Andrew. Arsenal need to talk to Saka this summer. He's got 2 years left. What Arsenal need to be doing now is extending that contract by at least another 2 years.
Yeah, at least.
If he says no, Turkish, what do you do?
It's a funny one, man. It's a funny one because with Saka, I actually believe he has Arsenal's best interest at heart. Yeah, that's the type of character he is. That's what I get from his interviews and what I've heard about him in and around, the club and whatnot. So if he wasn't to sign a new contract and go into next season, I wouldn't be happy, but I'd take that as he wants to see what this club are really about now, and determine whether he wants to sign. Now, that might be foolish of me because in the past, players have turned their back on us. But I just feel like with Van Persie, when Van Persie left in the end and he wrote that letter to us, I keep on saying it, everyone go read that letter back. It still resonates till today. It showed that he cared about us. It showed that he had some sort of love to us because he explained himself. And, it was true what he was saying. Now, I expect Saka to demand from this club in the summer that they match his level of expectation, maybe. And hopefully the club...
And if he didn't sign?
If he didn't sign, it's very difficult, Rob, man, to say sell him this summer because that's all we've got right now is the young players.
So you keep him?
Yeah. But if it was a Martinelli...
So then after that, now he starts to run into the last year.
English tax will make sure that with a year left, we'll still get a decent amount for him. If it was a Martinelli with 2 years left and he's not signing, then I'd probably push more to sell because I'm not sure whether he's, he really has Arsenal's best interests at heart fully or whether his next step is another club. With Saka, I believe that if we can give Saka everything he wants, he will stay here.
But suppose we don't make the Champions League and he says, well, I'm not signing yet. I'm keeping my options open.
No, it's a difficult because we've given him so much chance this season, isn't it? Listen, with Saka, I think
I'm putting you in charge of transfer business right now.
Regardless,
you know what I mean. I'm putting you in charge of transfer business. What do?
I let him go into his last 2 years and make a final definitive decision come January. Are you signing or not? Are we selling you this summer? So I'll take.
You leave it to January. That could destabilize.
Yeah, it could
destabilize your season.
It could, but as the owner, I will do enough to make sure that guy's happy. That's where me and Kroenke differ.
How?
Because I won't be coming out to show Van Persie the finances and the bottom line. I'll be coming out to show him what players I want to sign, where I want to be in the next few years. That's what Van Persie said. He asked for ambition and Hillwood came and showed him the finances. That's not good enough. Players don't care about how much the club's earning. Players want to win. They want to, progress. So
it's an interesting question, isn't it? I'm going to put it out there to you guys as well. I'd love to hear. This guy, We Love Arsenal, he's getting very worried. He says, please don't raise an issue out of nothing. We don't want any distraction right now. We're on a good run. Let the season be over and then we ponder about such issues. Please do work teams unity. I don't understand that last bit, but listen, it's only a scenario. I'm only putting it, you know what? If you're in charge of Arsenal and you're in charge of transfers and stuff like that, these are the decisions that you may have to make. You've got to take emotion out of it and you've got to make a business decision and you've got to get that right because otherwise what you then have is players running into the last year of their contract. And what we see now, players leaving, what we all moan about. How have we allowed that player to leave for nothing? Well, it starts with decisions like these.
Yeah.
Tough decisions that have to be made. And we're giving it as a scenario. By the way, we're not saying Saka's going anywhere.
No.
I don't think he's going anywhere. He won't go anywhere. Just don't worry, right? But these are the type of scenarios. Pepe's going to be another one.
Yep.
Come the summer.
Decision.
Decision. What are your plans? Do you want to sign a new deal?
Yeah, we can't
The
ignore
contract extension. If he says no, decision to be made.
Yeah, and big ones. Like you said, it's about getting the big ones right now. Over the years, we've got the big ones so wrong that it's led us down here. Let's start getting them right.
If we don't make that decision, we get a Lacazette situation.
Yeah.
Where an Eddie Nketiah situation where when the summer comes, they're gone for nothing. Free. Got to make these. That's why you get paid all the money for them jobs.
Exactly. The groundwork needs to be done.
Yeah. Jack Catton says, I love Saka, but if he doesn't want to sign a new contract this summer, I think we have to sell. Same for Pepe and Martinelli. All have 2 years left this summer. Now listen, please, I'm not trying to frighten nobody. We're just trying to. I'm just trying to put into your head the scenario that comes from running a club like Arsenal, comes from running any Premier League club. That these are the situations that you can be put into.
Because we can't ignore it as fans because the club have ignored it for years as the people in charge. We just discussed the ticket price issue, and a lot of fans feel like at a time when things are so united, things are looking like they're going well, that they try to slip this under the radar. Don't get it twisted. If we keep the pressure off Kroenke and we were to make top four, or we were to achieve something this season, you know, he might think to himself, oh, now's the time to sell one of these lot and make 100+ mil because the fans are so happy they won't care too much. Let's make sure they know that top four is not the goal. Top four is the step towards the goal.
I mean, it's all about getting this team back challenging. I mean, what the club needs to do this summer, if we can get into the top four, and I pray that we do, they have to then back Mikel Arteta to say, right, you've got into the top four, you're in the Champions League, that's great. We're going to give you a team that can make a good fight of it. I think it'd be unrealistic to say we're going to give you the team that's going to win it straight off. Difficult.
Not with Pep in
Look
there.
how many years City have been trying to do it, right? But we're going to give you a team that can make a good fist of it in the Champions League. But even more in particular, we're going to put together a team that can challenge to win the Premier League. I think that's what every Arsenal fan wants to see right now. I want to get back in.
Hope.
You know, my main reason for wanting to get back into the Champions League, as well as being able to play amongst the elite, where I think that's where we need to be. But it's also because I know that that's going to be able to attract some of the highest, the top players.
Yeah, they give the club no excuses.
Yeah.
You know, you can talk about this had an impact, that had an impact, but listen, TV revenue's going up. If we was to get Europe too, and don't get it twisted, even Europa League on this season will be an increased revenue stream because we didn't have Europe. So the revenue streams are increasing this summer off the back of doing very little. So, you know, if we do hit that target, then they better build on it.
Mr. Me says, calm down, people. Bukayo Saka is not going anywhere. He's our boy and he wants to stay here. His agent and Arsenal management are negotiating Saka's salary and sponsorship structure, and that takes time. And that's true. And let's hope that is exactly what they should be doing now. And that's why I sort of raised it, because it's a difficult thing. But what if that doesn't work out? I'm just putting it as a scenario. What do you do? Do you just say, well, we're just going to hang on, or you've got a decision to make?
Yeah, because listen, I gave the club credit in the past 4 years for the Saka, Martinelli, Emil Smith-Rowe contract renewals. Do you remember last time Saka's contract was renewed? It was pretty much the similar sort of time. People were saying Liverpool might be interested, and then we gave him a new contract and sorted that out. The club moved in the right way then.
Exactly.
But 2 years have passed, and it's still a situation where, like, there's rumours that, Liverpool want him or this team wants him. I want him to sign a new contract, and in 2 years, there's no talk about, Saka's going into, because he's happy here and Arsenal are moving in the right direction, challenging.
The last thing we want to see is like players. The thing that infuriates me is, and don't get me wrong, this happens at a lot of clubs now. And again, in that interview that I did with Sky Andrew, I asked him that. I said, I've noticed that a lot of clubs, players are just leaving at the end of their contracts. They're running it down now. They see the advantages of running down that contract where they can then negotiate the wages for themselves. But at Arsenal, in particular, we've let so many run down their contracts and so many leave for nothing that it's been scandalous.
Yeah. We've allowed everyone from top players to players on the fringes to run down their contract. It's crazy. Players we don't even plan on using, that other teams want, will say no, and then go ahead and not use them for the next season. And it's just like, what have you lot actually done here? Sanchez was pretty much a free. You think Mkhitaryan, that was a free. He left on a free. You know, Sanchez, one of our best players of the Emirates era, left on a free. Van P left for 22 mil. Ramsey, free. Cazorla, okay, injury problems and whatnot, his contract ran out. We have Aubameyang, free. Ozil, free. Oh my God. the list goes on. That's our top players from the Emirates era, you know. And even Fabregas, we only got 35 mil for, which, you know, that was a joke in itself. So we needed to get that side sorted. Maybe if they had that side sorted, they'd be reducing the tickets by 4% rather than increasing.
Jaguar says, Robbie talking things scarier than the Conjuring movie. Right, I'm going to stop. I'm not going to say nothing more about those scenarios. You know what I mean? I just wanted to, you know what? The reason why I just raised like that is I just really wanted people to get a grip of the scenario. And these scenarios turn into reality. What Arsenal face, what the recruitment team face. It's not just about going out there and buying this player and buying that player and buying that. It's about making sure you keep hold of the best players that you've got. And difficult conversations have to be had. Negotiations have to be done, right? Those negotiations won't be with Saka himself.
Yeah.
They'll be with Saka's agent, who will separate himself away from all the emotion. He'll probably be an experienced guy who's been through loads of contract negotiations, and he'll be advising Saka or any of his clients, and he'll be saying, listen, you need the best deal for you. I know you love Arsenal, but you need the best deal for you right now, because if you have a bad season next year, you're gone. Look at Aubameyang, right? So that's how he'll be talking to his client. So it'll be a tough negotiation. It'll be a tricky negotiation. It's not just, oh yeah, Saka loves Arsenal, just sign anywhere. You know, when you're a new player.
Yeah.
You know, you just say, yeah, give me the paper, man. Yeah. You know, all of a sudden now you're a top player. You're an England international. You know that if it was known that you're available, 5 to 6 top clubs around Europe are going to come in for you. It's a different scenario, and this is the tricky negotiations that have to go on to be able to secure a player like that. And this is why you need top people, top negotiators. I know Arsenal, you know, as well as Edu, they've brought in negotiators. And this is why you need these type of people. It's a complicated business.
Yeah, you don't want to be caught up in the heat of the moment in the summer. And I think talking about these things when you're an Arsenal fan is a necessity, because the people in charge have ignored these things for so long. Like I said, we are here talking about...
They just buried their head in the sand, aren't they, in the past, aren't they?
We shouldn't have to talk about these things. We should be comfortable knowing as an Arsenal fan, our club are going to do their best and try their best to hold the best players and buy the best players. That's how we should feel.
Do you know what I think happened in the past? Turkish, right? They just said, you know what? He'll stay. Arsenal will sort out. Arsenal's got this. Because Arsene Wenger was such a respected and loved guy by the players, they just thought, don't worry, he'll sort it. And now we've seen that don't work. That don't work no more.
Because in the heat of the moment, Rob, when Fabregas was leaving, this guy's a snake. In the heat of the moment when Van Persie was leaving, I was vexed. I burnt my Van Persie shirt. He is still a snake for going United, but you can understand the reasons when he comes out to explain. All these players in the heat of the moment, I turned against them. Yeah, we've got a young, exciting side now. A few of our young players in the past, Fabregas, Wilshere, have talked about the pressure on their shoulders and the lack of development and progress that this club afforded them by throwing them, you know, in the deep end, let's say. We need to protect the Smith Rowes, the Sakas, the Martinellis from that happening again. Otherwise, it will end in the same way. So we have to talk about these things and make sure the club don't ignore it like they have done in the past. So if it does come, we're not caught up in the heat of the moment saying, Saka's a snake. How dare he want to join Liverpool? When in reality, we'll already know that Arsenal again have let the bag fumble. You know,
that's another player that Liverpool sold at, Sterling.
Yeah.
So they did get rid of some real top players, and it hasn't hurt them. But listen, we don't want Saka going nowhere. Smith Rowe, Martinelli, listen, lock these guys up. They ain't going nowhere. Right?
Them, man.
We need them forever. No, trust me. You know what I mean? Lock them up. Sorry, I know you wanted to touch on the fact that the weekend as well.
Yeah, there's not much to discuss.
yeah.
United dropped points.
I couldn't believe that United game and the way they.
I don't know how they didn't score, but
how they didn't score, I don't know. But it's been a good weekend for us. All right, I know Tottenham won. I know West Ham won. Oh, what Wolves were doing?
No.
What are they resting all these players for, Wolves? After they come to what were they in the Champions League already?
I don't know what's going on.
I didn't get it. Why are you resting Jimenez, Podence, all these?
It was actually a great February for Arsenal Football Club.
Yeah. You're right. You're right.
great.
Because we hardly played played a couple of games in the month.
We won them,
but yet still we're sitting in a really good position.
Yeah, Tottenham lost 3. United drew 3 in February. That's our main competition for that top 4 spot.
But well placed, man. And then we got Watford at the weekend. Can't take it for granted as we saw with Manchester United, but I'd rather be going to Watford than going to, I don't know, Chelsea or City, you know what I mean? So
don't get me wrong, it's still a long way to go. We're a point behind United, 3 games in hand. 2 of those games are Chelsea and Tottenham away. So let's just, hope.
Next 3 games are important.
Massive, yeah.
I mean, every game's important, but I look at the next 3 games and it was, what we got? Watford.
Is it Leicester next?
Leicester, Villa.
Yeah, Leicester, Liverpool, Villa.
Liverpool, Villa,
that Liverpool game in between.
Those three, taking out the Liverpool one, those other 3 in particular, if we can get wins in those, and even then nick a draw against Liverpool.
If we beat the teams we should be beating, I think we'll get top 4.
Very true.
That's Leicester, Villa, Watford, and so on. I think that will afford us, Chelsea away, Spurs away, Liverpool at home. If we beat the teams we should be beating, we can afford to not slip up in those games, but we can afford to take a point or, sit back and hold something because we've got something. We're in the ascendancy for the top 4, but it's so long to go.
Yeah,
that it changes every 2 weeks.
And you get into, and this is where experience tells, and this is where teams that have been there, done it tells. You get into the situation where games become must wins.
Yep.
Can't draw it. A draw's not on the weekend. Earlier on in the season, listen, if we're going away to Watford, we want to win that game. If it's a draw, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah, because there's still
right. But now that's a must win. A draw away at Watford is a bad result for Arsenal.
Yep.
Bad result. Just like that draw at the weekend for United was a bad result. It's like a loss. So that's the situation where I said it a few weeks ago, squeaky bum time now, as Alex Ferguson used to say. That's where we are right now.
Because that 0-0 with Burnley felt like a loss. Remember that?
That felt like a loss. It felt like a loss. And even the other night, when that was looking like that was going to be a draw, I was like, I'll take the draw right now, but it's not great and not a great result because we're at home. You know what I mean? But now, that felt like a glorious
100%.
Glorious win.
100%. You do the same against Watford, you'll feel the same because they just took a point off United.
YNZ Football says, do you think Arsenal can get 3rd?
One game at a time, my guy. One game at a time.
And get greedy. You know what? It doesn't matter, man. We just need to get in that top 4 because it's not even like before where you'd have to play a qualifier if you got in 4th or whatever.
Yeah.
You just go straight in, right? We just need to get into I mean, listen, if we got 3rd, even better, but it doesn't, in the grand scheme of things, doesn't mean a lot. Yeah, let's try and chase down 3rd and then hope that at worst we get 4th. But listen, we're probably being a bit greedy. I can't see Chelsea slipping away from that 3rd spot.
It's hard to ask, do you think this season, because everything people have thought so far has just been going all over the gaff.
Yeah.
No one thought Arsenal would be here this time of the season. No one thought United and Tottenham would be as poor as they have been after Conte and Ralph Rangnick coming. No one's can guess what's going to happen towards the end of the season because it's madness. Every week is different.
Well, where we're going to finish, we're going to find out. We're going to find out. But anyway, listen, Turkish, man, thank you very much, man. It's been brilliant. It's been brilliant. Man. And I've loved the little debate.
Yeah. Playing devil's advocate as always. People, let us know your thoughts about the ticket increase. Obviously, it does affect the match-going fans, but let us know your thoughts, whether you're in the UK, Arsenal supporter from abroad. Is it the right thing for them to do after having listened to the discussion me and Rob have made and the points we've raised? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. And on to Watford we move, people. We'll be back again tomorrow or Wednesday with another news show. depending on what news does come out. But remember, as Robbie said, tomorrow morning, Robbie done an interview with Sky. Andrew, Sol Campbell's agent, as well as other players. Very good, informative interview. So make sure you guys check that out. Hit the like button, put the notification bell on. And as always, love for the love, people. We're out.